The cozy relationship between Donald Trump and the major titans of tech in the United States at the moment is really striking in contrast to what China's leaders did to their titans of big tech a few years ago. After getting back to the White House, Donald Trump has handed a huge amount of political power over to Elon Musk. Musk, of course, is the owner of X, formerly Twitter, as well as SpaceX, and CEO of Tesla, and he's one of the richest men in the world. In fact, more than this, Trump seems to be very cozy with several other tech titans as well. It was very noticeable at his inauguration in January that Elon Musk, as well as the CEO of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, and Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, all had a very prominent role in the ceremony. A sort of visual illustration of their close connections to Trump. A lot of people are rightly quite alarmed by the current situation. Senator Bernie Sanders has called this a system of oligarchy.
If you don't do what I, Elon Musk, want you to do, you're out of office. And I have the money to do just that. What we are looking at here is oligarchy. The billionaire class, which owns so much of our economy, which owns so much of our media, they are now moving aggressively to own our political system as well.
China seems to have followed a very different path. Just a few years ago, China's own leading tech titan Jack Ma had a very public fall from grace. Ma is the co-founder of Alibaba Group, one of the largest e-commerce businesses in the world. In November 2020, just right before the very highly anticipated initial public offering of Ma's fintech company Ant Group, which was set to raise perhaps as much as $37 billion US, Chinese authorities suddenly pulled the plug on the whole thing. Ma was hauled in for questioning and afterwards quietly slid away to Japan to lie low. There was a real sense of shock when this happened because no one had really seen it coming. There was a lot of speculation in the British and American press that it had happened because certain Communist Party leaders were angry at Ma personally, thinking he had too much independence and was too outspoken. And because being communists, they had an innate dislike already for Ma because he was a private entrepreneur. But as it turned out, Jack Ma wasn't the only one. This incident marked the start of what turned out to be a systematic regulatory crackdown on the industries of fintech, e-commerce, and social media, and various individuals considered to have excessively high incomes. A number of other industries were targeted as well. Here's a list which was put together at the time by the media platform The China Project. In light of what's happening now in the United States, the reasons for this move by Chinese authorities do seem pretty clear and prescient. Not quite as impulsive as some people had thought at the time. In a recent article in Foreign Policy called "What China Got Right About Big Tech," the journalist Howard French said this: "In bringing this new class of business titans to heel, China's leaders made a carefully considered strategic decision about the direction of their country's political economy. In effect, they were saying that Beijing would never grant a dominant role to the extraordinarily lucrative and freewheeling private technology sector. Put slightly differently, that sector would have no sacred cows and would never be allowed to cast a shadow on the party and state. In the emerging Trump regime, we are seeing just the opposite. The administration is a collection of billionaires that almost mindlessly celebrates wealth." In fact, at the time, several commentators had understood this regulatory crackdown in China as the Communist Party reasserting its socialist values. But is that actually right? The editors at the China Project, the media platform I referred to earlier, seemed to think so. They nicknamed this set of policies the Red New Deal. They said, "In many ways, the crackdowns reinforce the essential traits of the Chinese Communist Party. Its commitment to ideological conformity and intolerance of regime challenges, yet much of the activity is driven by the need to address the extreme wealth inequality that came with 4 decades of capital-fueled growth. Red New Deal captures some of what is going on here. The government is promising to reduce inequality and make life better for ordinary people. It's red because the actions have old-fashioned communist rationale, but also because companies that get in the way of the government are going to bleed. So was this Red New Deal really quite as socialist as this suggests? This led to quite a bit of debate among commentators on the left, and I'm going to side with no. Kevin Lin, a Labour activist and researcher on Chinese labour, published an article in Red Pepper on this question, in which he argued that this regulatory crackdown was not very socialist at all. It was about trying to preserve healthy and stable conditions for the continued smooth functioning of capitalism. He said, it should be seen for what it is, a pragmatic response to problems that are reaching crisis level, aimed at reforming Chinese capitalism and restoring stability by asserting more state control. The object is to better secure the basis for continuing capital accumulation. There is a significant risk of romanticising the red policies, in particular as the US-China conflicts intensify. There is a temptation to contrast the positive sides of China to the negatives in the US and elsewhere. But we cannot just focus on state policies and the realm of political economy to the exclusion of social movements. If the international left should laud anything, it should be those movements that struggle for a genuinely progressive future. These actions and movements from below are what gives us hope for the building of a more just society, not the actions of the state. And finally, while it's not the same thing as what's happening now in the US, it does seem to be the case that certain industries in China, particularly manufacturing and real estate, do have a pretty influential role in shaping policymaking in China. In other words, in China as well, the state-capital divide is not as clear as many people would like to think. I have another video on this which I'll post as the end screen, so it should be showing up on your screen now. If not, there's a link in the description below if you would like to watch it. Thank you for watching.